All right, guys, good morning and happy Wednesday. Let's do a quick sound check here on YouTube and in the free room. And we'll dive in here and get going. What's up, Lee? Good morning, Lorna. Good morning, Mirza. Alrighty, guys, so happy hump day. We'll jump in. I'll try to make it short and sweet. Key levels on the SPX. Pretty nutty day yesterday. We heard from JP. We heard from, I think, a few different Fed folks. So as is tradition, things got a little bit wonky there. But key levels here, guys, on the SPX. SPX key levels. 4,200, 4,100, and then the good old 40.50. So 3 levels I think you should mark up on your charts here. The biggest for now, guys, being 4,200 and 4,100. So 4,100, of course, was previous resistance. So if we pull up our weekly chart here, we are playing a little bit of the over-under game. So you get stuffed at 4,100 once. We rally back to it, stuffed again. We rally back to it, stuffed again. So a big part of the progress they're making here on the weekly chart is currently keeping price action above that previous swing high. So today, tomorrow, into next week, I think any dip, you do want to look for support there at 4,100. Can previous resistance now begin to serve as brand new support? And they're doing a pretty good job here so far. Again, even with yesterday's shenanigans, we'll call it, they did hold the line there pretty good. So 4,100 being previous resistance. Now we're looking for that to be new support. If we can keep it above 4,100, what we're going to look for here is confirmation from our lower time frames, which for me is pretty much just a heat map. If we've got a 15-minute buy signal, 30-minute hourly, follow the lower time frame structure holds, and then we get those buy signals above 4,100, then our next fight here is going to be up there at resistance at 4,200. So they got to keep it above 41. If they do, get your confirmation from lower time frame buy signals, then look for your break of 42. And above 42, the party should get started. Now, in the event they fail to hold it above 4,100, I don't think the end of the world, but probably means we're going to come in towards 40.50. Make sure you're keeping that in mind right now. Is as good as I think things look, and for reasons we've discussed, I think things look better right now for the bulls than they have in, we'll call it a year and a half. There's still that growing probability. Once we're a good 2 to 3 ATR away from that daily 21, we could be fixing for a bit of a reversion to the mean. So things could be strong enough here that we don't actually have to pull back to the daily 21 EMA just yet. But that's going to require they keep it above 4,100. If they fail to do so, I think pretty quickly you could get a nice reset here, get that flush back down towards the daily mean, which frankly, guys, would just kind of would likely offer the next round of really good swing trade entries. So that's a little bit of the difficulty of this market. A lot of the names I would like to get long, they've kind of made that push away from that daily mean. So, for example, a name like NVIDIA, NVIDIA is a total beast here, but there's not too much I can do with it that far above that daily 21. Where my go-to trade is going to be building that position somewhere back here. Get paid on the big push. We're kind of at the point here where it's a momentum play. So you can buy the dips on an hourly chart. And if it keeps on pumping, that can work. But you got to do that given day now. You could see him back a good $20 and still look really bullish. So in the event the market does pull back a bit, you get your S&Ps heading back towards that 40.50. I don't think it kills the market. I don't think it puts a knife in things. I think what it would do is bring your NVIDIAs, the AMDs, your Apples, your Googles, bring some of these stronger names back down to earth. So a few levels for you guys there. Now we are going to get a bit of a dip here based on the action in the futures. Nothing too big. QQQ futures down about 0.5%. The S&P's down pretty much the same. But point being, this morning, we'll get a little bit of a chance to see, okay, how does the market handle the dip? knowing that 4,100 is the key level here, for example, if we gap down a bit and say the SPX pulls back to, the hourly 21 EMA, if everything begins to stabilize there, could be a nice spot to pick up some calls or a put credit spread. Keep your stop nice and tight, right under 4,100. So we'll see how she handles the dip. One more key chart here before we jump into the good stuff. Got to continue to keep an eye on the dollar. So for the dollar here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 closes back above that daily 21. Now, I don't think you're going to see the dollar go back into an uptrend, but there is a potential here. You keep on cranking out closes back above your daily mean. In the short term, you could see this use up a little bit of the, call it oversold juice. Get a big break in your trend. You got the big flush. Wouldn't be the craziest thing in the context of a potential weekly downtrend to rally back towards your moving averages. So in the short term, if it keeps on, cranking out those closes above that daily 21, there might be a bit of a path here for a push towards 105. Kind of link back up with your weekly 21. So again, it doesn't necessarily put the dollar back into into a super strong uptrend, but it would probably put a little bit of pressure on the market. So in terms of seeing the S&Ps and everything kind of collectively grind higher into the end of February and into March, ideally, the old Dixie here ends up back under that daily 21. So a few things to keep an eye on, guys. But as far as a few trade ideas here, so like I mentioned, a lot of these names are, it's NVIDIA's, it's names like Apple, even the indices themselves. So for that bullish trade on the QQQ, ideally I'm doing that a little bit closer to, if not $300, a little bit closer to 295. So for a swing trade, for a lot of things out there, it's not the spot where I would load the boat. So a lot of the thinking right now is more so like, okay, it's a momentum play. It's not that big core position where I'm, building that trade at that 21 EMA. This is more so trying to milk it for whatever momentum is left. So a few names for you guys here. 3 that I continue to like: Roku, Zoom, and Tesla. Now, if you look at the daily charts of these 3, the ship has kind of sailed as far as, hey, let's get loaded up here at that daily 21. It's a momentum play. Same thing here for Roku. And of course, same thing here for Tesla. The key for these 3 continues to be price action staying above the weekly 21 EMA. So for Tesla, they're doing a pretty good job. For Zoom here, Zoom pumped pretty good yesterday. They're doing a pretty good job here. Firmly above the weekly 21, and Roku also does a pretty good job of holding that weekly 21. So that's the key. It's got to stay above that level. If it can stay above that level, target to the upside here is at daily 200. So for Roku, we'll round up a bit. They can keep Roku above $60. And if above $60, those buy signals start showing up on lower time frames, the 1 hour, the 30, the 15, that could open up the door for a push up there towards $70. Looking for a reversion back to the daily 200. So the key here, guys, is fighting for a good entry. If you pull up the heat map on Roku, it leaves a little bit to be desired. You're neutral on the hourly chart. You're neutral on the 15. You're bearish on the 30. So above $60, above that weekly 21, I'm going to wait for a 15-minute buy signal. I'll wait for a 30-minute buy signal. That triggers the entry. We're not going to go from 62 to $70 without a 1 hour, 30-minute, 15-minute uptrend. So your first signs of a potential uptrend would be that brand new buy signal. So we are waiting on the Roku. Now for Zoom here, a bit of a nutty one. You probably got to wait for a dip here. Actually, not probably. You should really wait for a dip. So Zoom on the heat map Now, in comparison to a Roku, Zoom is pretty locked and loaded. The 4 hour, the 30, the 15, the 5, you get all kinds of lower time frame buy signals. But I think you want to fight for a good entry. A good entry could be something like, if you're aggressive, it could be a dip to a 15-minute 21. But as you can see after the push yesterday, even a dip to your 15-minute 21 is like a good $3 pullback. So fight for a good entry. I wouldn't chase it. I think the path here is a push into about $88. So you want to think in terms of risk versus reward. If you buy it at 84, you might have $4 of upside. But if your exit is going to be a close under, say, the hourly 21, well, you're risking $5. So if you take an entry up here, you can sell some calls, you can buy some calls, you can sell some puts. But as far as risk versus reward, it gets a little bit negatively skewed. You catch a bit of a dip, that all changes in your favor. So no chase in Roku, but I do think you got room here for $90. And then for Tesla, it can rip it through 200. I think pretty quickly, you're going to get that pump up towards 220, 230. All right, big psychological level. I'm not going to call it a heavily shorted stock, but it's a moderately heavily shorted stock. They can break it through that key level of 200. I think pretty quickly you're going to get that pop. So we'll check out the heat map here. So it's a pretty spot to look for the entry. The 1 hour chart's neutral, but you're on top of the 1 minute 21. You're on top of the hourly 21. You're on top of the 30-minute 21, and you're on top of the 15. So compare this to Roku. It's already rallying away from the 15. It's already rallying away from the 30. It's already rallied away from the hourly chart. So that's a name I think you wait for a dip in, where Tesla, on the other hand, if today you can get that 15-minute, 30-minute buy signal, makes for a much better entry. What you would look for is for that 15-minute, 30-minute buy signal to lead to a push like you saw yesterday from Zoom. So as far as, we'll call it momentum plays, I continue to like those three. Now, as far as a few names actually setting up near that daily 21, one that I would like a little bit of today, market willing, of course, is Netflix. So Netflix, I think, shaping up here for a push eventually towards 400. So $400 here lines up with your 405. We'll call it 400. That lines up with your weekly 200 SMA. So that's pretty much my ultimate target here. Now on our daily chart, indicator goes bullish. Get your first leg to the upside. And now generally for the last, let's see, call it last 2 or so weeks, you've kind of gone into consolidation mode. You've got support down here around, call it 350. You've got your resistance up here. So now Netflix, unlike a Roku, unlike a Zoom, has kind of taken a chill pill here, gearing up for its next move. So now what we got to look for here, confirmation from our lower time frames. Like, what's the next big directional move? Is it going to be the continuation of this rally in a push towards 380, 390, eventually 400? Or perhaps Netflix is a little bit tired here and it's got to come in a little bit more. Okay. The confirmation of what's going to be the likely outcome, that's going to come from the lower time frames. And right now it's a little bit quiet. Neutral on the 1 hour, neutral on the 30, and you're neutral on the 15. So my go-to trade would be, all right, we're hanging out above 350. Right, you're in consolidation mode right above that daily 21. But then here comes a confirmation from the ground up. 5-minute chart goes bullish, 15-minute, 30-minute. That sets up the entry. So until that happens, we'll sit on our pause here. But I do like Netflix for higher prices if it all shapes up. And a couple more names here, guys. So like I mentioned, like Tech XLK. The indicator says buy the dip. I don't have a dip to buy yet. Semiconductors SMH. Beautiful. So the indicator says buy the dip. Right? I don't have the dip. There's your dip. You buy it. All right. There's your dip. You buy it. As long as you have that daily buy signal, probabilities would favor you're going to play out that pattern of higher lows and higher highs. Right? Pull back, put in a low, a continuation, put in a higher high, pull back, higher low, continuation, higher high. So you got to wait for a dip. One group here, not as extended, are the financials. So where XLK and the semis, you kind of want to see them come in a good bit. Financials aren't too far off from the buy zone. The buy zone's $36. They're trading about $1 higher. So if you check out a few of these financial names, Bank of America, JP Morgan, Goldman, they're all shaping up pretty good. So Bank of America. All right, there's the heat map. All right, locked and loaded. Daily buy signal, 4 hour, 1 hour, 30, 15. Couple down here. So you got your full alignment. All right, trend structure momentum on the daily chart is bullish. Same thing on the 4 hour, same thing on the 1 hour, same thing on the 30-minute. So what I would do is mark up the ideal buy zone. All right, I'm willing to buy it all the way down to $35, we'll call it. And now as long as we're above 35 and as long as we're printing those buy signals, just trying to fight for a good entry. If you're really aggressive, maybe you're buying the dips to a 15-minute 21. If you're a little bit less aggressive, maybe you're buying the dip to a 30-minute 21. Me, I'm a bit more of an hourly 21. But you're doing that understanding, hey, all the way down to 35 and change, this is all pretty well aligned for higher prices. Let's see, JP Morgan. Daily squeeze, brand new buy signal. Pull her up on the heat map. It's almost perfect. So the only thing missing here is a weekly buy signal. But from a daily chart down to a 1 minute, indicator says fight for a good entry. How about Morgan? All right, Morgan, not too bad. So there's a few out there, guys. Not financial related, but Adobe. Trying to show you the differences. You got a few that are, their momentum plays. Try to milk them for whatever they got left until they pull back. Then you've got your Netflixes, your Adobes, couple financials. They're all a little bit closer to that buy zone. So it might be a little bit more up your alley, depending on the kind of trader you are, where you might say, okay, I'll trade Zoom when it pulls back to the daily 21. Like I'll trade Nvidia again when it pulls back to the daily 21. And now in the meantime, I'll go trade the Adobes. I'll focus on the Goldman Sachs of the world. Right? I'll wait for an entry over here on Netflix. Kind of shift your focus back to the things that are a little bit closer to the buy zone. So that is that, guys. Let's see the futures. A little bit soft. Not a hole in the head, but a little bit soft. So if you guys got any questions here, let me know in the chat. We can go through a few charts. Got about 25 minutes until the cash market opens. All right, JB's got some CHD. Churchill? Church and Dwight. So we're a little bit neutral here on the daily chart. So when something like Nvidia, for example, now granted it's overbought, but at least at this indicator, it's pretty obvious what the path of least resistance is on this bigger time frame. Right? It's bullish. It's to the upside. Whereas something like Church and Dwight, our daily chart is neutral. There's no buy signals. There's no sell signals. We don't really have a great sense right now of what's the path of least resistance. So what we got to do here is mark up that 21 EMA. Right? And we do that knowing most big directional moves start at that 21. Now here's the kicker, guys. You can get big directional moves on a neutral daily chart. You don't need a daily buy signal to push higher. You don't need a daily sell signal to push lower. But without the context of that daily signal, it'll down to your lower time frames. And like we continue to talk about, say we're going to buy some calls here today. What's the ideal outcome? Well, ideally, a few days later, we're catching a pump like that. So go study that move, right? Don't make it a coin flip. The stock doesn't magically all of a sudden rally off of that moving average. Right? Something happens on a 5-minute chart, then a 15, then a 30, before you're pumping towards 78, 80 bucks. Your uptrends have already started on your lower time frames. So what we'll do here is we'll go study that push. Yeah, it's good enough. We'll go study this move, 1 hour chart, 30-minute, 15, and then we're going to compare it to the current structure. So back there on that big push, your hourly chart, right, you had your hourly buy signal. Your 30-minute chart, you had your 30-minute buy signals, right? Green bar, green arrow. 15-minute chart, and mind you, this isn't unique to this stock. This is what it looks like every time. 15-minute chart, you had all kinds of buy signals. So now we look at the current structure, and you're getting there. No warning signs, no sell signals. The hourly chart's already bullish. So imagine later today, here comes a 30-minute buy signal. Here comes a 15-minute buy signal. Right? No guarantee you're going to get that same push. But that's a numbers game you want to play. Right? That's the flip of the coin you want to take. We got to come to the realization we have no freaking clue which trades are going to work, which ones aren't going to work. But if every time you pull the trigger, it's that moment in time, 100 trades later, 200 trades later, you're going to like the outcome. Okay. We jumped into First Solar last week on Wednesday. On Wednesday, every single time frame had the buy signal. The next day, everything went bearish. Right, but we're getting out of that trade right here. You pull the trigger when it's that moment in time. You do that with the confidence of, hey, if I can do this for my next 100 trades, I'm going to make a lot of money. But doing that with the realization, the outcome of each individual trade, totally random. So to make that process so much easier, right, have your reasons for taking the trade, which for me, it's the same every trade. Lower time frame buy signals. As soon as your reasons for taking the trade disappear, you're getting out of that trade so much earlier. Right? I don't have to take the whole ride down to 160 bucks here to realize I was wrong. As soon as I lost my buy signals, that's the heads up. So not to say Churchill's going to explode here, or Church and Dwight rather. But for me and my style of trading, it's kind of shaping up to be worthy of a shot. If you're on top of that daily 21, your 4 hour, your 1 hour, 30, 15, if they're all bullish, I've got no complaints losing money on that trade. Versus, hey, I think it's going to go long. I don't have any confirmation just yet, but yeah, I think it's going to go long, so I'm going to buy some calls. That we don't want to do. So good call out. Mark, old Boeing. Old Boeing. We took a couple of shots here last week. Right? Everything lined up so we got long. Now you'll notice it didn't fall apart the next day, right? Didn't get destroyed, but I lost my buy signals. So we took the trade off. A few days later, it goes bullish again. We're getting back in. Next day, again, we're taking it off. So a lot of back and forth here. A lot of back and forth. Let me check the daily chart. So check this out. One thing to be mindful of here. You've gone neutral on the daily chart. So now your lower time frames, being locked and loaded, it matters now more than ever. Because now your daily chart no longer has that ammunition. In other words, we want to be careful here blindly getting along just because we're near that 21 EMA. You can do that with a daily buy signal, but right now you're getting signs of that divergence. It's a shift in momentum. The structure is good. You're still in an uptrend. You've still got your stacked EMAs. The reason the indicator goes from bullish to neutral is momentum starting to shift in the wrong direction. So that's where I think, hey, if we're going to get long here, in the face of that divergence, in the face of that loss of momentum, everything's got to be pretty much perfect from the ground up. And it's not too bad, right? Not too bad. 15, 5 minute, 3 minute, 1 minute. It's not too shabby. Not too much more I can say about it than that. It's a breakout trade with that loss of momentum. So in other words, just really anchored to your lower time frames. Right? They got to pack the punch. All right, Boeing. Let's see what else we got here, guys. Broadcom. Solid, really, really solid. It's just a matter of what's a good entry. Yeah, beautiful. So this is perfect. Every single time frame says buy the dip. The weekly, the daily down to a 1 minute. So now it becomes an aggressiveness thing. We're going to mark up our daily 21 EMA because under that daily 21, we should generally kind of lose interest in being long. So we're kind of willing to buy here all the way down to 587. So now it's an aggressiveness thing. If you're really aggressive, maybe you're taking your entries here at a 15-minute 21. However, that's $20 above the daily 21. Maybe you're buying it here at the 30-minute 21. Maybe it's the hourly 21. Now, it'll be different from trader to trader, but it's all pretty well aligned here. So my thinking is, hey, let me get a good dip, and let me get long where I'm comfortable saying, hey, if we got to come down a little bit more. Now, if I want to buy it right here, right now, am I comfortable seeing it go down towards that daily 21? Well, probably not if I'm buying it at 615. But if I can buy it at 600, yeah, I can take that little dip. I'm cool with that. So I like it. HAS LMT. Yeah, LMT. We had a short in LMT a month ago or so. It's trying to turn the corner here. All right, so here's what we'll do. All right, back above that daily 21. Where's my drawing tool? Yeah, so back above the daily 21. They finally killed the daily sell signal. So they're doing a lot of things here that they have to do to keep this from going into a downtrend. You can't let the stock hang out under the daily 21 with a daily sell signal. So they're fixing those problems. The histogram is shifted. The daily squeeze actually fires long. So I do think you're looking for higher prices from here, so long as you're above 460, and so long as you're getting confirmation from your lower time frames. Your daily chart is not bullish right now. What's going to take you from 470 to 480, 500 is going to be that uptrend on a lower time frame. So the X-ray machine, the heat map would say I should put this on my watch list. Good call out here. Weekly buy signal, 1 hour, 30, 15, 5, 3, and 1. Yeah, I like it a lot. I like it a whole lot. All right, so here's the kind of trade where I got the alignment from the ground up. Right, everything locked and loaded. So somewhere in this neighborhood, I can take my entry. I can put my stop under, say, well, here's the thing. My stop is going to be under the daily 21, but I'm not going to wait for it. If tomorrow morning above that daily 21, the 1 hour chart gets a sell signal, the 30-minute to 15, I'm taking the trade off. Right? The reasons I'd want to take this trade are these buy signals on lower time frames. I'm willing to give it all the way down to that daily 21, but I really got to anchor to the reasons you're taking the trade. So if they all disappear, but we're still above that 21 EMA, taking that trade off. Right? Got to anchor to those reasons. But the kind of trade here where you could probably get a pretty good push. So good call. I like it. And then two more here, guys. HAS. Hasbro. I want to say Hasbro's healthcare. Healthcare still pretty suspect. So HAS for a short. So you got your 21 EMA and your 50. This is kind of like your over-under level, we'll call it. Oh, is that Hasbro Toys? Okay. What am I thinking of? I think there's a children's hospital somewhere in my area called Hasbro. That might be it. Nonetheless, though, under the 50, under the daily 21. So that's kind of like your over-under level. I probably want to take the short off back above that moving average. And right now, your 4 hour chart says get short, the 1 hour, the 30. You get a couple of lower time frame buy signals, but yeah, I think on its own right, does potentially set up for a good short. I think the bigger question is, as far as swing trading, is that the direction we want to focus on right now, given the market? And as far as that goes, there's still some questions we got to answer. Something I always like to consider. In the event my market is going to be bullish for the next 2 to 3 to 4 weeks, I really want to focus on trading that in a bullish fashion. And there could be something to be said for you got a couple of longs, you got a couple of shorts. Only point I'm trying to make is maybe keep your stops on shorts a little bit tighter right now, given what I think is a potential for the market to go higher. I've been caught in that spot before. I'm short, stock ABC, and the S&Ps just keep on pumping and keep on pumping. Now, you might short the perfect short setup. That strength in the market tends to take things with it. So food for thought there. And last one of the morning, guys, AME. All right, so we're neutral on our daily chart. So we'll mark up the 21. And we'll see what the old heat map has got to say here. Guys, good call-outs this morning. Really good call-outs. Bullish on the weekly 4 hour, the hourly 15, 5, 3, and the 1. Yeah, I like it. You could get long with the stop above the daily 21. You could even you could get long with the stop under the hourly 50. Yeah, keep it pretty tight. And as tends to be the case with a squeeze, they can lead to some pretty nice pushes. But all right, guys, thank you for your time this morning. We got about 10 minutes here until the cash market opens, so I will let you guys go. I am not on the mic today. Every now and then I get a Wednesday off. So with that being said, I'll be in the options room in the chat pretty much all day. So for those of you in there, if you have any questions, feel free to ping me. And then for those of you in the mastery, we'll look for a few shots here today, market willing. And then tomorrow we'll be live as well as Friday for our typical weekly sessions. But all right, my friends, have a great day. Trade safe, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you for your time as always.